Good evening, you all. Good evening, and welcome to Word of Life Church. I am so grateful and glad that you all have chosen to join us tonight, and certainly I appreciate it. If you would do me a favor while we're getting ready, can you please share for me? Share the broadcast, like the broadcast, invite somebody to come and join us this evening for our home improvement Bible study worship. And I would greatly appreciate it if you could do that for me. It appears that I need to make a few adjustments, but while we adjust, I want you to grab the 91st Psalm. The 91st Psalm, and I'm going to read 1 through 3, and I will be completely honest. I do not know if I will even make it here because of what we're talking about tonight. But the 91st Psalm, I see it. Thank you so much. The 91st Psalm, verses 1 through 3. And while you're grabbing that, while you're going there, I'm going to pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for another opportunity to join together in this place of worship. Lord, we appreciate you for everything that you have done, everything that you are doing, and everything that you are going to do. Lord, we certainly appreciate you and give your name all the praise, the honor, and the glory tonight. Lord, we thank you because you did not have to do what you have done in our lives, God, but you continue to bless us, you continue to keep us, and you continue to guide us through the various vicissitudes of life. And for that, God, we want to tell you thank you. We give you all praise, honor, and glory because you are so mighty in our lives, God, and for that we are so very grateful. And so, God, tonight I pray, God, that as we open up your word, Lord, you would make it crystal clear to us as we seek to do the will and the work of you, Lord. I pray, God, that you would let your word be made fresh in us tonight. Anoint us the more, God, that we might grow, that we might develop, that we might be able to follow you more nearly and to love you more dearly. I pray, God, that tonight will be a night of growth and development, God. And again, the Bible study, God, is all about us growing in you. And so, God, we pray tonight that you would allow us to grow greater in you. In Jesus Christ's name we pray, amen. Amen. Can you see now? Amen. The 91st Psalm, and I'm going to read verses 1 through 3. And then, of course, we're going to go into our little lesson tonight. And I will be honest, I'm going to depend heavily tonight on our online viewers because we are here. So I'm going to depend heavily on you tonight and your comments so that you can share with us tonight. The 91st Psalm is a very familiar passage, and I remember it always by saying 9/11. 9/11, when September 11th happened, I remember somehow or another I found my way in Psalm 91:1, and it really blessed me at that point in time because I remember being a sophomore in high school in 2001 and it being filled with so much wonderment. Didn't really know what was going on. Y'all remember 9/11. Everybody typically remembers where they were, what they were doing. And I remember just being a little fearful, as a 16-year-old kid. And this came to mind, Psalm 91. And I'm going to read 1 through 3. It says, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in him will I trust. Surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence." And the word of the Lord is blessed. I want to talk tonight. It's not so much of a Bible study as it is a dialogue between you and I as we bounce off of each other to try to determine how we're going to work our way through these different things that happen in life. So for the few moments that is ours to talk and dialogue together tonight, I want to use, not really as a subject, but a topic of discussion, coping strategies. Coping strategies or coping mechanisms. And the reason why I want to talk about coping tonight is because there are many times in our lives that we go through things that we just do not understand. There are times where we are faced with so much, and it almost at times seems impossible for us to bear. And the truth of the matter is that over the years, we've heard and even sang or preached about fighting our way through. And so in the church, we do a lot of talking about fighting our way through and how to come through, and God's going to bring you out, and God's going to do this, and God's going to bring you through because the Lord is going to do this for you, and all these different things, and they're all true, and they all sound good, but there is a period in our lives that we all have to deal with. My mother would say in between and in betweens. It's in between my promise and my performance. There is always pestilence. I want you to get that. In between your promise, which is God's prophecy to you, what he's going to do in your life, in between your promise and God's performance will always be pestilence and pain. Your life will never be without pestilence and pain in between the promise and the performance. It is true, and you can shout that God will perform some things in your life. It is true that God will promise you some things in your life. But what I do not believe is that God will promise and perform it on the same day. Oftentimes, the promise comes to give you peace of mind. The promise comes to give you hope and faith in God that my situation won't always be like this. Because the truth of the matter is, when you're going through so many different things in your life, sometimes it gets hard to see the end of the road. It's hard to see the end of the road. And so, yes, I can shout because I believe that God is going to do some things in my life. But at this present moment, in this present time, I am in pestilence and pain. And so I've got one foot in the promise, I've got one foot in performance, and I've got my entire body, my soul, my heart, my mind is in pain. It is in pestilence. And so now here I am trying to find out, how long is God going to take before he removes me from the promise and walks me into performance? First thing I want you to know is that, again, that God will perform things in your life. And so here it is, right here is what I want to get to you, is that oftentimes when our backs are up against the wall, we are faced with what the psychologist, his name was Cannon, called the fight or flight theory. Somebody type that in the comments. Fight or flight theory. That when I find myself in these different issues of life, you really got two directions you're going to go in. Either I am going to fight, meaning to resist the urge to simply give up and fold my tent and say this is it. Oh my God, I'm going to fight and resist against the temptation to quit. Many times when we deal with temptation, we do a lot of talk about this physical aspects of temptation and the physical issues of temptation that I'm trying to master and keep my flesh. But can I tell you sometimes that the greatest temptation you have is the temptation to quit? Would somebody please write that in the comments? The greatest temptation you have is the temptation to quit. Oh my gosh, I'm getting happy already. It's the temptation to quit. The temptation to quit what, PA? The temptation to quit my marriage. The temptation to stop coming to church. The temptation to say my ministry is dead. The temptation to say forget everything that I'm going through. I just want to be a regular person. The temptation to throw in the towel and say what's the use of it all anyway. The temptation to quit is by far the greatest temptation in your life, because you know that you've been called and you know that there is a promise, but the performance is taking too long. And that's the issue with many of our lives, is that I know that I have the promise, but the performance is taking too long. So now I'm in a quagmire in the middle trying to figure out, should I fight or should I flight? Flight means to run away. It means to avoid. And I've got to tell you that while we're in this Dig Through It series, the reason why many of us, most of us, don't have the victory, because we are anointed to avoid what is annoying us. We have a bad habit of trying to avoid what is really right there in front of us. And the truth of the matter is that until you confront your crisis, God will never bring you through, because God will not give a whole victory to a half broken vessel. I said God will not give a whole victory to a broken vessel. Why? Because you cannot handle anything whole when you are broken. If God gives you something whole while you are broken, it is only a matter of time before that whole thing becomes broken, because you were not ready to handle what God was trying to give you. And so again, God does not trust whole things with broken vessels. It's likened unto in your house. If somebody brought you a bouquet of flowers and you had a vase or a vase in your house, whatever you call it, and you would not use the vessel or the vase that was broken and fill it with water and with the plant food, because you know that the water would drain out of the vase, which will ultimately kill the flowers ahead of time. Oh my God, I'm teaching to somebody already. I just don't know that you're getting it. Is that many times in our life, God is trying to pour into us, but he sees that there is a hole in the bottom that is losing the substance that he is trying to get to you. So instead of you leaking, he'll have you living limited, because God does not want people to see you leaking. And so you're wondering, God, why have you not given me my promise? It's because you are still leaking. You're still leaking, and you are dropping through all of the substance that you are trying to get, that God is trying to get to you rather. And so you are missing it because there is a leak. I don't know if you remember this or not, but grandmother and Big Mama and them used to sing a song. They said, there's a leak in this old building and my soul has got to move. I know we don't really sing that anymore, but the reality is that when Big Mama and them were trying to teach us, they were trying to teach us and show us that in your life, whenever your vessel is fractured, God cannot fill a fractured vessel. So if you are wondering why does he keep preaching and teaching about digging through it, it is simply because God cannot fill a fractured vessel. Why can he fill a fractured vessel? He cannot fill a fractured vessel because you are leaking. And so whenever you're leaking, God cannot fill you, because everything he is trying to put in you is seeping out of the bottom. So then really says to us that many times we are the sole reason why our victory is stopped up. It's because you are still leaking. And again, until we start facing all of these different things in our life, we will never get complete and total victory. And so again, I was telling you about fight or flight. Fight means I am going to resist against what I'm dealing with. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to back down. I am going to fight against it. Now, everybody on this live, everybody in this room, at some point in time in your life has seen a fight. Many people love watching fights. We like boxing. We like UFC. If you work in elementary school, middle school, high school, you got the fights that happen in the school. And, well, I ain't going to tell all my business, but sometimes when there's a fight breaking out in the school, you going to break it up, but you really kind of want to see what's going on. I want to see what kind of punches being thrown here because I'm trying to see. And I have an analogy that I teach my players all the time when we're coaching. I tell them that many times life is simply a fight. And just because I get hit one time does not mean that the fight is over. Because if one hit means that the fight is over, then it's not really a fight. It's really just a bullying instance because I'm up against something that I cannot resist. And so the idea of it is the reason why I have to dig is because, again, I am resisting and fighting against my inclination to flight, which is to quit and to run away. I want you to understand, friends, it is always easier to quit than it is to fight. It's very easy to quit. It's easy for you to walk away from your relationship because this ain't what you signed up for. But it's a whole nother thing when you've got to fight through the things that you did not sign up for. Because the truth of the matter is, what, if anything in our life, have we signed up for? It's just that these issues that we have to deal with, none of us signed up for them, but yet they are still there. And so we have to learn how to resist against the things in our lives that are trying to stop us. Now, there is much in the Bible that will teach, show, and display exemplars of how we must fight through life's various circumstances. You can go from Genesis to Revelations and you can see a myriad of scriptures showing you how to fight. We're talking about coping tonight. That you can look at Cain and Abel. It'll show you how to fight life. You can look at Abraham. It'll show you how to fight life. Look at Sarah when she was barren. It'll show you how to fight life. Look at Moses and the children of Israel. It'll show you how to fight in the wilderness. David will show you how to fight through your flesh and to fight through Saul who's trying to kill him. It'll show you how to fight through. But what the Bible doesn't talk much about is how do we cope? How do I deal with these things? Here it is, when it's not time for God to bring me through. It'd be easy for us to say, oh yeah, God's gonna bring us through. This, oh my God, I hate to get on people's nerves, but it's this kind of thinking that keeps us from digging through life. Because, y'all gonna get mad at me, you can't shout your way through everything. Listen, I love to dance. I love to shout, but it's an outward expression of faith of what I believe that God is going to do. But it don't mean that my shout is going to change what's happening in my life. Because believe it or not, your victory or your next level is not really some mystery that you're waiting on God. It's really wrapped up in your discipline. You'd be surprised to know how many things in your life would change if we would just change our discipline level. Let's just be honest. Our weight would change. Yeah. The health of your skin and your hair and your everything would change because it's all about discipline. If I learn to discipline myself and to discipline my regiment, this is why we call it home improvement. The reason why some of us are broke is, I said it before, it's not because you don't make enough money. It's not because you don't make enough money. It's because we don't have enough discipline. And the reason, watch this, that we don't have enough discipline is because nobody has ever taught us how to cope. That's why there's a reason, the thing called retail therapy. Because when I'm feeling bad, I do something to make myself feel better. But it's not healthy coping. Because here I am, while I'm trying to cope with grief, now I'm putting myself in a financial bind. So now my life is getting worse. So now I've compounded my grief with a financial issue because I was trying to make myself feel better. And so nobody really teaches us how to cope. And that's why I think that tonight is going to be beneficial, because if we all put our heads together, we can collectively give each other ideas as to how do I cope when life isn't fair. Because that's the truth. Let's just be honest. Life ain't fair. Okay? I don't know who and why they told us that, but life isn't fair. Just like when I come to Jesus, when I come to God, my life doesn't magnificently or magically just change because now I'm on the Lord's side. Whose side are you on? I'm on the winning side. All right, my bills still due though, and I don't have the money. And so now I got to figure out, how do I deal with all this? Because let me tell you something, and I'm getting off my notes here, but it's the struggle, oh my gosh, it's the struggle to fight against how you used to cope. When you come to God, one of the greatest struggles you have is that when you start going through, I can't cope the way I used to cope. All right, I got to get transparent with you now because I feel like everybody don't understand me. Not even just coping, but celebrating. Now watch this. In your BC days, your before Christ days, somebody in your family dies. You love them, you really appreciated them, you don't know how you're going to live without them. So what you did was you went to the bar. You sat at the bar, you said, give me a bourbon. Don't ask me how I know. You sat at the bar, you told them, give me Dos Equis. You sat at the bar, you told them, give me some rum. You sat at the bar, you told me, let me stop. I'm going to stop before they start saying, oh, he used to drink. You sit at the bar and you tell them, hey, I want this drink and I want that drink. And you start drinking. Why? Because I'm trying to numb the pain that I'm feeling. There are many people, I'll give you a better example for those of you that believe that you're Jesus' 13th disciple. You don't know how to cope when you would rather stay busy than to face what you're dealing with. Busyness is not healing. And there are many people in this world, I know them, who of all ages, who would rather stay busy than to cope and to deal with what I have to deal with. As if to suggest that if I drink enough, or if I smoke enough, or if I sex enough, or if I drive far enough, it's all going to disappear. It's still going to be there. When the high rubs off and, what do they call it? The hangover is done, you're still going to be sad because you didn't face it. And facing it is really a matter of, who was that? Somebody used to sing a song back in the day, used to come on 90.9, and it used to say, accept what God allows. And so what you have to do is put it in his hands. That's what the song said. Accept what God allows. That's the first point I want to give you about coping, is that we have to learn how to accept what God allows. And when you break that down and really understand what it means, it really means that everything that happens in our life, we can't blame everything on the devil. God either caused it or allowed it. But we blame everything on the devil. Ooh, Satan, the Lord rebuke you. Because you didn't get approved for your car. Ooh, it's the devil. It's your credit. It's your credit. Yeah, it ain't nobody. Y'all, we've been in church before. The sound system go, the devil in the system. No, the frequency is too high. Turn it down. It's not the devil. There are some things that we have learned over time, and we got to learn how to start fixing our mind to really get to the root and develop true issues of what's really going on. And so at the bottom of it, everything that happens in our life, God either caused or allowed. Bishop Darrell Hines used to tell a story back in the day, and he used to say that, it's a fictitious story, but the pastor came up to the church, and when he walked up to the church, the devil was sitting on the steps outside. And the devil was sitting up on the steps outside, and the pastor walked up to the church, and the devil was crying while he was sitting on the steps in front of the church. And the pastor looked at the devil and said, "What's wrong with you?" And he said, "Them in there." He said, What you mean?" He said, "Them in there." He said, What you talking about, them in there?" He said, "They blaming me for stuff that I didn't even do." And so there are many times in our life that we are blaming the devil when really we just got to get a grip or a hold on what God is trying to do. I need to speak to somebody very quickly. If everything in your life is going wrong, it's because God is trying to get something to you. If it ain't one thing, it's another people, God is trying to get something to you. He's trying to get it to you because you're not grasping what he's doing in your life. If everything is going wrong, he's literally breaking down all of your defense mechanisms and what you run to and the people you love and the people you hide. It's all breaking down because he's trying to get something to you. And in order for him to do that, he's got to let the bottom completely fall out because you're not getting it. He's trying to get your attention. That's why it seems sometimes everybody around you, every week it seems like somebody's dying. And I know we've been there. I'm almost 20 years out of high school, and I can't even count on my hands how many people I went to school with who have passed away. And I'm not talking about random freak accidents. I'm talking about the things that we used to think were old people. Yeah. Oh, it was a heart attack. He was 60, he was 70, he was 80, had a heart attack. Cancer, she was 80. No. These are people who are 30 years old, 28 years old that got cancer and it couldn't get healed. These are people that are around you. God is trying to show you something. But for whatever reason, it seems like we don't really believe it. So again, we got to learn to accept what God allows. All right, so now, in this honest conversation, and the reason why we're talking about this tonight is because sometimes your dig will land you in a dungeon. And you got to figure out how to deal until God pulls you out. Genesis chapter 41, Joseph is now a dream interpreter. And he's interpreting dreams. He's so good at his calling, or he is, let me not say good at his calling, he is so called, because this is extra, but you're not really good at your calling. You just called. If you're good at it, it's a gift. I just taught you something. If you're good at it, it's a gift. If you called, you don't know how to do it, but the calling helps you function in it. You understand? And so there are many people who are gifted that we think are anointed, but they're really just gifted. And you know that they're only gifted when their life doesn't match their gift. That's the difference between people who are called and who are gifted. People who are called, we're afraid to do it without God because we don't feel like we can. Is that anybody's testimony? I know I can't do this without God. Because if you just leave it just to me, I'm going to mess everything up. Come on, that's my testimony as a pastor. I feel free to tell you that. I have no shame in telling you that as the pastor of Word of Life Church, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I don't. Every day I wake up shivering in my boots. God, you got to help me now. You got to help me. Sometimes so much comes to me at a time, and I'm like, in my mind I'm saying, Lord, say it. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Because God always covers the called, because I'm depending on him. And so that's why I know I'm like all over, but as a called person, you should never rush to make a quick judgment. Because if I rush to make a quick judgment, I'm doing it. Every time I have to make a big decision, it's always preceded by prayer and fasting. And I sprinkle oil on everything. I really do. I put oil on everything. I do. I put it in the yard. Before I got my house, I went by the house. I took a whole thing. I emptied it in the yard. I know the neighbors are looking at me like, what's wrong with this Negro? Don't worry. I'm about to be your neighbor. Because I feel like once I put, this is going to make me happy. Once I put my oil on it, it's mine. Oh, Lord. I'm going to the car dealership on Saturday. Y'all stay tuned. All right. So, and the reason why we have to learn practical coping strategies is because, don't throw tomatoes at me, sometimes my prayers aren't bringing me peace. I'm glad I can stand flat-footed. Sometimes I pray, and I still don't have no peace. And I pray some more, and I'm still just as worried as I was the day before. And then I pray again, and I'm still like, oh, no, God. That's why I got to figure out how to deal with this on a practical level. Because sometimes, I'm sorry, prayer ain't enough. I know, to all my old school folks, you got to push, y'all. We got to push. What does push stand for? Pray until something happens. All right. I've been praying, and I still don't have peace. So now what? Sometimes my fasting isn't alleviating my fear. So what can I do? Sometimes church isn't eliminating my confusion. So what do I do? Sometimes my worship isn't subsiding my worry. So what do I do? Okay. So the thing about it is that God really sometimes has to show us different mechanisms of coping, because there are some practical things that we have to do if we're going to get the victory. Somebody type this in the comments. I want you to keep this in your life forever. This is how I'm going to say it. How do I want to say it? There is a practicality in spirituality. All right. There is, or should be, practicality in spirituality. Meaning everything ain't shy. And see, oh man, I hate getting in trouble, but like just when God give it to me, I have to. When we come up for prayer, oh man, you really do more damage when somebody broken, confused, and full of issues and anxiety come up for prayer and we speaking in tongues. You're not helping them. We're not helping them because they don't have the gift of interpreting your tongues. And because we've been in church so long, the preacher, the prophet wants them to fall out. But everybody don't have to fall out. In fact, I would suggest I need to hear the entire prayer. No, speak to me. If I fall down, get your butt down here and finish telling me what God told you to tell me, because just because I fall isn't the end of you working with me. And so we've got to try to redefine some of these things, because I've been in church all my life. And I always see it. Y'all know. I see it all the time. They pray. Once the guy falls, we move on to the next person. Wait a minute. Did he really get what God really told you to tell him or her? That's why, we get this. I've been at a church before. Let me see. I've been at a church before where I seen somebody at the altar and the preacher trying to preach them down, and they done backed all the way up to the back door. I will survive no matter what. They like, I'm not going down. Because we put too much stake and power in somebody falling out when they pray. That's not deliverance. I'm just trying to tell you that I think it's more relevant and important if you can give me the full word and prayer that God has given unto you for me. So we got to understand the difference between, Lord, I'm so happy. Just go, Anthony. We got to understand the difference between emotionalism and deliverance. Sometimes we just emotional. And it's okay. That's fine. Sometimes you're going through so much, the preacher ain't really got to say much. Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you come up to the altar and he just look at you. You just. Sometimes it's like that, right? But then there are other times where it's like, now listen, I'm trusting you to give me a word. I've been going through this. I've been struggling. I'm dealing with this. I need you to tell me something. I need something. And that's the this is also the difference between gifted and anointed, because gifted people, they waiting on you to fall. Anointed people, no, I need you to get this because it's for your growth. So we got to understand the difference between, we have to be growing, y'all. Church is about growing. It's not about having good church. Demons can have good church. Ask Lucifer. He can have good church. He probably could see he had every instrument in his body. When he turned, it was a praise break. But yet he still got kicked out of heaven. So what you going to do with a fancy dance in hell? Your leg going to burn off. You ain't go. All right. Oh, there go the bots in the chat again. I hate when they do that. I'm sorry. All right, so let's talk about the practicality of spirituality. So we want to talk about practical ways to coping. I want to give you this, and y'all going to laugh at me. But it's fine. I don't care. I'm perfectly fine with exposing myself to this so that somebody can get some help. Perfectly fine with that. I want to give you one of my coping strategies. You're going to laugh at me. Y'all ready? Video games. It's one of my coping strategies. For many reasons. When I feel things in my flesh that I shouldn't feel, I want to stabilize myself in a safe environment so I can bring myself back to balance. Because again, sometimes prayer ain't working for this. Sometimes it just ain't enough. Let me not say it's not working unless the mothers throw the tomatoes at me. Let me just say it's not doing the whole job for me. Because, again, I remember being single. Deacon Thomas, I remember being single, and I prayed to God earnestly. I mean, I really meant it, Ian. I really did. Lord, please. I'm so attracted to her, and it's just getting, Lord, please. I remember I'm praying to God, Lord, please. Isaiah 6 and 7. Lord, please just help me, Lord. Please. And I got up from my prayer and sent the text message. I don't care. It's fine. I'm perfectly fine with it. I remember. And so I started to develop over time. I said, you know what? I got to figure out a way to do this, because when I'm on my knees praying, I'm hearing the devil in the back of my mind saying, you know you're still going to call, so what's the point? Right. You know you're still going to do it, so what's the point? Right. So I said, you know what? Let me find another way to kind of bring myself back. Oh, man. Because, listen, my pastor used to say it like this. He used to say that the sovereignty of God is no excuse for human responsibility. Meaning that just because God can bring you out, could bring you out, might bring you out, don't mean that you don't have a part to play in your own deliverance. So yes, God is a healer. Woo! God is going to touch your flesh. He'll correct it. Woo! You still got to not make the call. And there are many of y'all, you won't say nothing, but you've been in the car with the duffel bag in the back like, Lord, please do something. He ain't going to do it. You driving the car. You there. You getting the bag out the trunk. Lord, please don't let me go in here. Lord, please. Please, Lord. Don't let her answer the door. You knew she was home. We just going to watch a movie. You a lie. She attracted to you. You attracted to her. It's not going to work. All right. So you have to find different coping strategies. I'm ready now. I'm ready to open up, because many of us have to find different ways. We got some over here. Many of us have to find many different, sometimes inventive ways. And I know some people may not want to share because, maybe what you do is not And sometimes you might think it's crazy. But if it works to keep you sane and safe, that's all you need. That's the only thing that matters. If it keeps me, that's me. If it keeps me sane and safe, I'm not concerned about whatever opinion that anybody might have of it. It keeps me sane and it keeps me safe. That's what I want. I want peace of mind. I don't want any clutter in my mind. I don't want it. Because I've lived with clutter in my mind for long enough. And it took me, y'all, a lot to dig through all of the clutter in your mind. I did what was it? It's a etiquette talk something on Saturday to young teens and kids about how you dress and your etiquette and carrying yourself and how you speak and all those different kind of things. And I made a point to them that it doesn't do us any good for me to talk to you about your public appearance without going after your private demons. Because that's what the issue is in the church. We are publicly anointed and privately demonic. That's why people don't want to come to church anymore. And I've been praying to God, Britt, I've been praying to God, Lord, please make me the one example that's still holy. That's my prayer to God. Lord, I want to still prove that there's at least one in this world who means you all the way. That's how I feel. Because when you've been around as much as I've been around, some of us been around, you're like, man, you too? Come on, let's just be honest. You too? Them? I hate even hearing about it. I don't even want, as soon as I hear it, I'll be like, no, why you say, I thought he was. Yeah, I'm like, man, the dude just told the whole church up. He blessed me. He blessed my family. Now you're going to, no. Too late. And so now my prayer to God is, God, help me to cope with these issues that arise in me. Because let's just be honest, the Bible in Genesis says that the devil is the most cunning beast of them all. That's tough. That's tough. See, we try to treat the devil like, he ain't nothing. He just, no, he's very intelligent. He's very intelligent. Yeah, he knows exactly what you like, the way you like it, and here it comes. He like, now hold up. Now. Because he's the most cunning beast of them all. He knows exactly what makes you tick. He knows exactly what you like, what you desire, and so he brings it to you because, again, he's trying to get you on his team. All right? So we got to figure out how to cope and figure out inventive and creative ways that help you to cope. We have some over here. I remember, and this one didn't work. This one didn't work. But I remember I had just graduated college. And the church I was at the time, Sister Britt, I used to try to stay at the church because I thought that would keep me out of sin's way. So I would just stay at the church. So I'm like, what y'all need me to do? I do it. So I'm cleaning the restroom. I'm vacuuming the church. I'm trying to put the sound system together. I'm picking the chairs up. I got it. I'm trying to get all my aggression. I got it. And I would leave at 2 a.m. in the morning. And still sin. Still sin. At 2 a.m. Where you at? Fresh out. I'm fresh out. Where you at? Where you want me to be? Oh, Lord. I say, Lord, you got to help me now. Because I'm trying to get us to understand that you have to find a way, here's what I want, to harness yourself. And again, I'm not just talking about physical things. I share this because it's my experience. That's why I share. I don't have some of the experiences that others have. I've never been a heavy drinker. I've never been smoking. I've never done pills. That ain't my thing. That's never been my issue. But I have issues. You understand? And so you talk about what you have experience with. I think that's another reason folk don't come to church, is because people trying to talk about things they don't know nothing about. Don't talk to me about being an addict if you ain't never been an addict. All right, and so for me, that one didn't work at the time, and so I was trying it. I tried to stay at church. I said, no, I'm gonna just stay here. I'm gonna just stay right here. So every day I would just go to church, go to church, go to church, go to church, and like some days it would work, some days it wouldn't, because I was focusing on something I can do externally instead of trying to harness what I needed to harness internally. And many people don't understand that the issues in your mind, in your heart, in your flesh, it really all stems from internal voids that we have to go after. A lot of us have internal voids that we don't talk about. We really do. There's really some, and the thing about it is, many times we don't want to share it with people because we don't think I don't think you're going to understand what I'm trying to tell you. Like I don't think you're going to get what I deal with. And people would judge you based on the one time you said yes without knowing the 99 times you said no. That's the judgment of people. People would judge you for the one time, and here it is, just the one time they think they know you said yes, because you don't even really know. You wasn't there. Yeah, you speculating. You seen the picture, and in the picture, there was a cup. I'm going to go back old school. There was a cup of Hypnotic right there. You don't know if it was mine. Yeah, Boone's Farm, Mad Dog 2020, whatever y'all used to. When you was broke, you used to buy something. You used to buy whatever you could buy at that little corner store. All right. Somebody help us. Nothing? All right, so let's get, okay.
Sorry for smacking in this mic. As you were talking, in a lot of your examples, I noticed one thing, and it was what happens when you by yourself. You can do whatever you want to. It's like you were saying, going to church, you're occupying yourself. But when you got back home, and you got back in your car and you were alone, there was nothing, you didn't have any tools to help with your coping. It was a lot of, not going to church doing something wasn't necessarily unproductive, and it wasn't necessarily unhealthy, but when you got outside of that, that's the thing I'm looking at. When you got outside, when it was just you alone, there was nothing there. So I think as a collective, like you were saying, we got to come up with ways to deal with and help people when they're in that time where they don't have anybody else. When the prayers, it seems like it's not going through, we got to come up with ways to cope.
Yeah. And I want to give you this. I'm glad you go ahead.
I was gonna say too. For me, I think a lot of times is triggers.
Oh yes.
Triggers and knowing thyself to know what your triggers are to avoid the trigger from even happening. Like if your issue is with women, don't go to a swimsuit contest.
Right.
Stay out of those kind of situations.
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because it sparked something in my mind, and I want to say this. Here is a coping strategy, and we can just keep this. I think that we need accountability partners. We need accountability partners, and I want to tie it in like this. David, we all know about David and Bathsheba, so I'm not even going to deal with that. Nathan came to him and was like, yo, what would you do if this man took this? He said, that man should die. Nathan said, that man is you. That's not, I want to talk about this part of David. David was so held to his past and who he was. Many people don't know how David died. They put a young damsel, a young girl, in the bed with King David. They woke up the next morning, they grabbed the young damsel. They said, did David know you last night? She said, no. All the people said, the king is dead. because they suppose there's no way he's alive and he didn't sleep with you. Oh boy, that was so heavy when I read that, because we got to get to the place where we're not still so connected to our past that people can still identify us by who we used to be. And I think that Nathan really was his accountability partner, which some of us need. That, like you said, when I have my issues and nobody else is around, I feel like I got to have at least one person I can call, even if they my spouse, to say, nah, man, listen, we're going to need to figure something out, because I feel deserted, I feel abandoned, I feel alone, I feel whatever the case may be. So we're going to have to, something got to shake, something got to give, because this is not working for me. And really, it's called communication. And so we got, and see, here is where a lot of men struggle. I feel real man cave Monday-ish right through here. But here's where a lot of men struggle, because we don't feel comfortable having accountability partners. Because if I call you and say, yo, I'm getting weak, you can't come back like, well, let's go to the strip club. No. Because once you put it there, it's like, oh, here we go. So I think part of it is finding individuals who are chasing after the same things we're chasing after. And that's what many people look at me, man, why you have friends? I don't have friends because I'm not sure what you're chasing after. Right? I'm not chasing after titles. I'm not chasing after side chicks. I'm chasing after God. And I'm chasing after my wife and my family. That's what I'm chasing after. And I don't want to be caught up with what you're chasing after. Maybe he think he's, I don't think I'm nothing. That's why I don't want to connect with you, because I know myself. I know myself. Because if I get connected to you and you Breaking Bad and Sasha walk by, you like, ooh, now, all right, now we done messed up. Because now it's like, I bet I can pull it. You ain't going to be able to pull it. Now, here we go with your old self going over there with your old game. Say, sugar mama, let me talk to you, baby. Boy, get. So, and I think that's one thing that's really missing is accountability. Somebody to call you on your issues, and somebody that you can call in a safe space to say, hey man, I'm having a tough time. Like I'm having a tough time. And I'm really grateful because, I'm really grateful because like one of my coworkers, he tells me all the time, he's like, man, I used to be a mess back in the day. Like he's real honest. He's like, man, I used to be a mess. He like, I used to mess up on my wife all the time. Like he tell me, he said, man, I used to be a trip. And so now it's gotten to the point now where every day we're having conversations to make sure that he's redirected, because obviously he knows I'm a pastor. And so me being his accountability partner is helping me, because I don't want to tell him something that I'm not doing. So now here we are lifting each other and encouraging each other to make sure that we stay on the right path. And I know somebody will look at this and say, well, it should be. If that's the case, then you shouldn't even be. Stop. Because really everybody is one opportunity away from sin if you are not covered, if you are not focused, if you are not at peace, and if you have not dug through the issues in your life. I tell you, man, I didn't even know where my flesh issues stemmed from until about 4 years ago. I had no idea. While I'm crying on the floor, God started bringing it just like a rush. And that's where my healing started. Like, oh man. Because I didn't even realize it. And so that dig was really tough. Because sometimes you gotta dig. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having to dig through something while preaching to a person that's a part of your dig? Can you imagine that? I've got to dig through you. And yet, I'm preaching to you. Here it is. And you coming up for prayer. I'm digging through what you caused, and I'm laying hands on you. Now that's a dig. While I'm in revival, everybody, woo! And here you come. And really, to me, you're just a pile of dirt. And I really want to take the shovel. But I got to dig. That's a whole nother level of dig. And it's a whole nother level of healing when I can minister to the person that's caused my misery. That's dig. Anybody? Come on.
I wanted to say.
It's on, but it's like really low. Testing.
I wanted to say. I wanted to say what resonated with me was when you said when the prayer, when you're praying and you're still in it. You're praying and it doesn't feel like it's working. And that resonated with me because I think from my experience in different churches, I feel like what's lacking in those churches is they preach you the word, but they're not honest or realistic about the in-between. Yeah. And they'll tell you, pray your way through it, but when I'm in it and I'm still in that in-between area and I'm praying, I'm doing what you're saying, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing nothing. Nothing is moving. Nothing is happening. And I think that's where a lot of Christians get lost because you can get to a point where you start blaming the Lord. Well, I'm praying, I'm doing what your word says, and I'm asking, and I'm believing, but I don't see anything. And it's not necessarily that it's not working, it's just that you're in that between area, and I think a lot of times that's not referenced.
Yeah, it's like this. This is what makes me think of a man that was blind, and he came to Jesus. Jesus creates a prescription with water and dirt, makes mud, puts it on his eyes. That's the prayer. That's the interaction with Jesus. I'm with Jesus, i.e. prayer, i.e. fasting. But after all that, Jesus says, now go wash. It's a clear sign to us that just praying, it can't be just the end of it. Because even Jesus would give directives after he encountered somebody, right? He came back to the man. He says, what do you see? I see men, but they as trees. Go wash again. If prayer was it, then he would have made the prescription, put it on his eyes, and he can see. But Jesus trying to show us, no, it ain't just on me. You have to go and do something. That's why the Bible says without faith, it's impossible to please God. That's the point he's trying to show. I did the first part. Now show me what your faith got. And I made a joke one time I preached this. He was already blind. Then he put mud on his eyes. He double blind. He blind, right? He got a substance on his eye and he already can't see. And he tells him, go. But he can't see anything. Go, wash. He tells him, now you got to believe that wherever he went to wash, he'd already been there before. So all he had to do was retrace his steps to where he felt or believed like victory was. But again, he had an encounter with Jesus. That's my prayer at night. That's my prayer during the day. That's my prayer in the morning. Now, after all that, faith without works is dead. Go ahead, D.
Oh, I just wanted to, I think Sister Bree hit on something that's important. Because a lot of times we find our leaders are the people that are contributing negatively to our digs because they either doing one or two things. I had a leader before that was broken down in the pulpit, crying, just broken down. We get see you going, you're going through, but then pops up and say, "Whoa, me and my family fine. I'm going through because of what y'all going through. We good, but because of what y'all going through is the reason why I'm up here." And it's like you're not even honest enough with yourself to go through your own dig. And then the second part about it is that also you have leaders that you see doing wrong. You're in the church, I've been there. You see the leader doing wrong. You've been in the presence of, yes, that woman is having a baby for him. And he is married, and that's our leader. But yet you can go, I'm okay though, because he's a great leader. I don't do that. So everything's okay. All you're doing is taking whatever dig you got to go through in your life and pushing it on the side because you're accepting his dig, and he's not doing with it. So then it gives us a false sense of security, like, well, my dig can't be that bad if I'm just dealing with gambling, if I'm just dealing with this, because look what he's doing. But yet God's still blessing him. He's still a leader. It's the church still growing. People still following him. You know, it's a dangerous, it's a slippery slope. You know, because everybody don't want to go through this. I don't want to go through it. I'm going through the biggest dig I had I'm on my job right now. I hate it. I literally hate it. But I was tonight, that's why I was late tonight. I was like, man, you got to dig through this. You got to do it. So I think when she said it, that hit a point, because I think that's what something that Sister Melissa said. Y'all read what Sister Melissa's comment, which I thought was really good. We are human. We need accountability, but it can't be used against us. You know, that's good, because I think we start looking for an accountability partner, but then you don't want that person to be using it against you. Like, well, then that hole start getting digger. I mean, that hole start going down, and your dig start going, man, why am I digging? What's the point of digging?
And I think that's why a lot of times people are against accountability, because people do use it against us. Right. Like, people really do. You can't, and it's a shame to say it, but like these days, you can't mess up. And all it does is, watch this, all it does is it creates a larger private demon in you. That's all it does. Right. When I'm not comfortable enough to have an accountability partner, all it does is further make me make my life the biggest secret that anybody's ever seen. That's why you'll see a mega pastor found dead in a hotel. Drugs all over the hotel room. And people like, because he had nobody that he can go to and be like, hey man, this is what I'm going through. How do I? Because he's afraid if he goes to somebody and tell them, they're going to leak it to the blog sites, leak it to the tabloids, leak it to somebody. Big mega pastor, such and such and such and such. So, I'm just saying, for me, since we're talking about strategies, my accountability partners, if your name ain't Scott or Edwards, I let a Simmons in, a Thomas in. It's like this. If your name ain't, y'all remember Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers and all that? It's the circle of trust, Fokker. Yes, it's the circle of trust. That's me. I'm like, Why don't we go hang out? Nah. Can my people come? Now, if we all rolling, we can come, because I'm going to talk to them, but not you. All right? Did I see you? Yeah.
I was going to say, I think some of what has to do with that is, should I say, the hypocrisy of most churches. It's hard to come out to a group of people who are pretending to live a perfect life, and now I have to deal with this by myself because y'all have told me that if I'm not perfect, I'm wrong. So now I feel like salvation isn't even for me, which is why I don't show back up to church.
God.
We're killing people that need our help the most by pretending to be something that we're not.
Right.
And we're just pretending around each other, and it's creating a bigger problem.
Right. When in all actuality, I feel like it helps you more. If I tell you, I know exactly what it's like
It does.
to be you.
It does.
Versus saying, because when I'm, like you said, acting like I'm perfect, I'm creating an idea. It's a false sense of who I am. And all I say as a young man, as a young woman, as a person, period, is I can't meet that. There ain't no way I can meet that. All the while, you're going through just like me. I need you to keep it a stack.
And even if you're in that place where you have reached the point where you're better in your salvation, you need to be transparent about that as well, because you weren't always right there.
Exactly.
And you can't just keep withholding that information because you're afraid of being looked at and judged based on your past.
Right. And that's why I say I'm completely fine if my transparency helps somebody else. I'm completely fine with that. If it helps you, I don't care what you think. See, here's the thing. You can't bring my past up against me anyway because I don't live there anymore. You can go to 4219 East Peachfield Circle, Houston, Texas, 77016 if you want. And you can, no, that wasn't my zip code. That's where I grew up at. You can go there if you want and try to rob me. Go ahead. It's not going to bother me. You know why? I don't live there anymore. Oh, I remember you went. That's fine. You can remember all you want to. And I have no problem even telling you about who I used to be. You don't ever have to hear anything about me from anybody else. I'll tell you. If you got the guts to ask me, I'll tell you. I was a mess. And I got some mess in me right now. I still got to deal with my attitude issues. Come on now, don't leave me. Sometimes we just, You ever get to the point you just I don't want to hear nobody talk. Like, I just don't want to hear nothing. Just complete silence. And I got to ask, Lord, come on. All right. 77014. Thank you, Mom. I knew you would remember. I knew you would remember, baby. I knew you would remember. 77014. That's it. People can tell, Mother Scott said, people can tell when you are not being real. Boy, that's some of the truest words ever spoken. And it happens a lot in church because I got to make up a word because it's just how I hear it. We become churchized. And especially the big preachers and pastors with all the adjutants. Oh, God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. You don't care nothing about me. I'm going to pray for you. No, you're not. No, you're not. And people can tell. You're not finna pray about me. Sister Nedra said, I can tell. Yes, I know. I love real. Sister Nedra, I like people that got that radar on them. Like, fake. Yeah, there you go. Let me know. My wife's like that too. She be like, nah. I be like, all right. Go ahead, D.
But you know what's funny? You said Sister Nedra. I think about my mom. They got those accountability women in the church.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how my mom, it's just like everything's accountability.
Yeah.
Everything they see. Oh, yeah, you see it. I told her. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You want accountability for everybody. But then what's the beautiful thing about it is they're willing to share too. Mm-hmm. They're not just going to, they'll tell you, oh, wait, hold up. Because my mom is my accountability manager, owner. She was, this morning I was at work. I was like, oh my God, this woman here. But that's the way she is with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I love PA, but he got to get that correct. He got to do that right. Everything. But those are the people that, and it's amazing because those are the people that most people run away from.
Yeah.
They run away from those people, and because like for us, most of us are men. So when we grew up, the people that was leading us, wasn't men in the church. So their accountability for us was all the wrong things. Man, what you mean don't go to church? That's where our accountability came from. So it's just like with, my friends. I was like, we come from playing ball. It's 4 of us. I'm the only one single. Women walk through the door at the store. Those 3 already open their mouth. I'm like, whoa. I'm the only single one here. Y'all done already beat me to the punch. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how men, I'm just saying myself, that's kind of how we had to struggle with it. It's like the people that was teaching us really wasn't teaching us.
Yeah.
So now we get in the church, who I'm going to find to be, somebody to be accountable to.
Yeah.
You have to be, you have to really go through that dig.
Yeah.
And you got to be honest. And if anybody been around Deacon Hatton is so honest about accountability.
He is.
I'm not doing it. I ain't want to do it. All right, I'm going to come and do it. And he's so serious. Man, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And he'll leave. I'm like, where you going? All right, I'm going to do it. But he's so serious about it, and that's everything dealing with everything. He's going to be accountable. He's going to be very honest, and he's going to be honest at that moment. And that's the thing about it. He will be honest with you at that exact moment. Sister Nedra, my mama, Deacon Hatton, those kind of people will be, and that's the kind of people you want to look for.
That's what I was gonna say next, is that the accountability partner doesn't care about being your friend. Because that's not what it's about. This is not about me being your friend. I can't tell you how many people I've experienced where, like, somebody brings you one side of something, and they like, see, I don't fool with that, I don't like. But when they get in their presence, they like, yeah, you right. And I'm like, hold up. Yeah, I'm like, because I feel like this. If it's the way you feel, you need to feel that way at all times in front of whoever. So if I feel like, me and my wife talk about this all the time, if I have a different opinion than you, I just have a different opinion. And that has to be okay. Everybody doesn't think the way that you think. And so it's okay that me and Brother Ian don't see this the same way. But it doesn't cause for us to fall out. We just don't see it the same way. But it's an issue of maturity. Many people aren't mature enough to accept the fact that you don't see the same way that they do. I don't see it your way. But it's fine. I'm not against you. I just don't see it that way. It's the same thing in marriage. Like, no, I don't. We're dealing with finances. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't like it. Well, this one, no, we don't got to argue about it. I'm just saying, I don't think it's a good idea. That's just my opinion. You asked me what I thought, that's what I thought. But you don't have to try to lead me a different way. I'm just telling you, this is what I think. Right? So if I disagree, it's like you can think I'm stupid for saying it. Because sometimes, and I'm like that. I will admit that. I told my wife, I said, listen, I have an opinion. You can think I'm dumb for thinking this opinion. I'm completely fine with that. It don't bother me. Because it's just how I feel. I might be completely off base. And that's fine. I don't care. It's just how I feel, though. Right? She said, y'all looking at me, too. That's stupid. No, hey. It can be wrong. I'm okay with being wrong if it's how I feel. In fact, if I feel a way and it's not the way you feel, I'm glad that you say, I'm glad, because that makes me know, okay, all right. But I do want you to know this is how I feel, right? I think a part of coping is us, being able to express ourselves. As I don't know if anybody else has struggled with that, but like in my life, I struggled saying how I felt. Right. I would just hold everything inside. I would just hold it. Let me just be honest. In my first marriage, I just held everything inside. I held everything inside until 6 months down the road. Whoa. And when I started digging, I was like, I ain't gonna do that again. So now when I have it, I'm just like, hey, listen, this is what I think. I don't. Nah, I'm not. That's fine. You don't gotta agree. I'm just telling you. It's how I feel. All right. Sister, Mother Thomas said, I share because I want you to see where God has brought me from. And that's it right there. I mean, that's what the testimony is all about in the first place. So that you can see. That's why I don't know why people won't share it. Like, because you can't testify about it if you still live there. It's only a testimony if you've come out. So if you don't want to share it, to me, it's because you're still there. That's just my opinion.
But you know what? Another thing, though, PA, it goes back to that thing I talked about being worthy. Are you worthy of that testimony? Because my mom was talking to me today about, in his maid, she was talking about somebody that's going through dialysis. And she said that, I'm going to call Reverend Banks to possibly could talk to him. And I kind of found it kind of strange because I went through that battle 18 years ago. And that was always the thing, but now somebody else went through it. When she said it, the first time I said, well, Mom, I'm going to talk about me, probably reaching out to the person, but she mentioned somebody else. But it reminded me that when I first came out of dialysis, when I first was healed, people were like, all right, I got a young man at the hospital. He's doing, you going to go see him? I was ducking out. I wouldn't go see him. I was avoiding people that was going through dialysis. I was avoiding going to see people. And as I looked through that was a dig. I didn't feel my testimony was worthy because I didn't feel I was worthy. So that's something I had to dig through. And I think a lot of times that becomes a part of it. Are we really feel that we're worthy of even the testimony that we have?
We might have to put this on the podcast. This is getting too real. I want to share this. Watch this. Sister Nedra said, back in 1996, I had been out of church for 6 years. Started going to this church. I really wanted to be saved and rededicate my life to Christ. But when you start feeling a vibe that I can't get in tune, she said she stopped again until she came in the Word of Life, where you can feel the realness, if that's a word. So I stayed, and I'm glad I did. It's for real, for real. But here's what I like too. Mother Scott asked the question, and I can see exactly where she is right here. And she says, how do we put ourselves in position to be accountable for the next generation? And you know what that says? It says that all of those that are older than my generation have so much to offer. But we won't go to them. Right. And you know why we won't go to them? Because we know they're going to tell us like a TIE. Right. We like, because you don't want to hear it. Yeah. So you, and I think to answer that question, Mother Scott, I think is just to remain available. Because and sharing your testimony and sharing what you have survived and being transparent about it, because people will start hearing it and being like, wait a second, not you. I say all the time, we sit next to people every Sunday that if they told you some of the things they really been through, you wouldn't even believe it. I mean, if you would come and sit at the house sometimes when we just chatting, just talking, you would be shocked to be like, nah, bruh, what? Yeah. You? Yeah, me, yeah. Gun in my hand, almost pulled the, what? Yeah, me, yeah. But for whatever reason, people don't like to share what they go through. I've been saying for years, we always share the PG version. I used to be a mess, but God brought me out. But that don't really help nobody. Specifically, what mess did you used to be? So I can see if you was my kind of mess. I used to be a whoremonger. Oh, okay, let me holler at you real quick. Wait, son, you saying you was a whoremonger? Hold on, let's just talk first. Sister Melissa said, having a church that we can openly have a conversation like this is so educational and important. We don't always need to be a puzzle piece where you try to puzzle us together and tear us apart. Ooh, Lord. She say this is great. Yes. And I think that, and again, so let's say it like this. We always say that Sunday is for inspiration. Wednesday is for information. Sunday, I'm going to tell you that you're going to make it. Wednesday is when we talk about how you're going to make it. Because see, I can preach to you all day. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy. Y'all know how to do. Joy, joy, joy. You know, I can tell you that joy is going to come in the morning, but Wednesday we need to talk about when it's morning and there still is no joy. I'm still depressed and I'm still stressed. Now what? Pray about it, Doc. Did that. Now what? You ever been there? What else you got? Fast. Did that. What else you got? Find somebody to talk to. Oh, can I talk to you? Make an appointment with my assistant. No. See, that's we. Some pastors are too grand. All right. And my opinion is that some pastors are too grand to be a pastor. Because pastoring ain't about Sunday morning. It's about Monday through Saturday. Can I walk with you through what you're going through when I don't understand it, when I don't feel like it, when I'm tired, when I got all this stuff going on? My wife and I got a call the other night, like midnight. Hey, it is what it is. Let's get after it. Let's handle it. Because what you gonna do? We can't shy away from it because we gotta make an appointment. Because when you go, can I tell you something? When you going through, you don't got time for no appointment. I love Sister Nedra, but you don't need to call Sister Nedra to call me. Right. Sister Nedra, you think Pastor up? No, call me. And if we gotta come, we'll come. Now, there are restrictions. I ain't coming to no woman's house by myself, okay? So don't even try it. Because that little spicy pepper ain't finna let me go to nobody's house at night by myself. I been looking at her, I don't want you to be out by yourself. I'm gonna go with you. I'm like, what you gonna do? Right. Man, when she get protective of me, I'm like, you swear you Layla Ali, girl. I'm like, go sit down somewhere. We had to get gas the other day. She pulling up. I don't want you to be by your girl. Go home. What you gonna do? You gonna start singing to him? Get away from my man. All right. Mother Thomas said, did you want to go first? No, go ahead. I hope she done logged out by now because she gonna get. Sister Nedra said, call me then, PA. No, I ain't gonna make him go through you, Sister Nedra. I ain't gonna make him. Okay, Mother Thomas said, I am honest about what I used to do. I haven't always been a deaconess. Oh, Lord. I haven't always been a ministry leader. So I don't have a problem sharing my slip-ups and backsliding. It doesn't matter that I was a teacher. I want you to know that I was human. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's one of the greatest. I think that's one of the greatest gifts you can give to somebody in this setting. Is to show you, hey, I'm human. So let's walk through this thing together. We got to walk through this thing together. So if we all married, we got to be walking through this thing together so we can all figure out how to get married, because at some point we got to stop the trends that have happened in our family. Man, all right, man. At some point, somebody got to be the curse breaker. We just gonna keep passing it down. We're just gonna keep passing it down. It's unfortunate now, but mixed families, it's like water running from a faucet now. Right. And my wife and I say it all the time. We like, man, why we couldn't? Dang. I tell all, you had to be young. Why you had to be young? I was in the youth department. You was in the Sunshine Band. Why you couldn't be a little older? My phone done died. I can't see no comments. Go ahead, Deacon Tommy.
Oh no, I was just gonna say right quick. Just this is for my own person. Is that the example you set in who you are from leadership goes a long way. You know, I remember when I was sick. I don't know. Did I have COVID or I didn't have COVID? When I was really sick, I can't remember. And I'm like, I'm really sick, and I'm like about to die on the sofa, and I got my grandchild, and everybody's gone. So I'm like, I'm talking to Pastor Andy. Yeah, I'm going through so much. All right. Well, you know, being lady, you know, we praying for you. Sorry, man. So then about a couple of hours later, I get a call. Hey, Deke, me and lady, we right around the corner. We about to come over there, just lay hands on you and pray for you. I'm like, oh, I'm around the corner by the Ellis's I got a daiquiri in my hand eating crawfish. I feel so much better right now. I say, but, you know, I'm good, PA, I'm good. And I can hear lady laughing. You know, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good because this daiquiri just cleaning me out. You know, and it's like, they laughing like, all right, D. But, you know, that's when you know you're dealing with real.
Yeah.
When people accept you for who you are and know the realness about the people that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So from that, you know, that moment I already would go to the out of bounds for y'all anyway, but that's just another reaffirming like, that's my people there.
Yeah.
They understand what Dick going through, and they understand where I'm at. And people don't talk about it, but it makes a difference.
Yeah.
And it stands out because it gives us closer and closer with each other.
Yeah.
You know, everybody who's sharing and everybody's talking, we all feel like we're family. We're right there. You know, you know, the more we're connecting, the more we understand each other, the more we're getting close with each other.
Right.
You know.
And I think, and so we'll end with this. I think I find our church in, what's it called? Drumline. One band, one sound.
That's right.
And I think that's what the purpose of church is. Because again, it's not Sunday morning. That's easy. We can all do that. We've been here long enough. We can do that. But I think the true measure of a church body, a family, is one band, one sound. One church, one sound. Whatever you have, I have. Whatever you've worked your way through, I've worked my way through. Because we are now doing it together. And I think that's the idea. And so like as we're moving into like this new year and we're about to unveil these ministries in the month of March, like it's about to get real. Because we're about to start tackling credit and financial issues and marital issues and how do you be single? Because people don't know how to be single. People just want to be with somebody. You can't always be with somebody. If you ain't well, you don't need to just be with somebody. You need to figure out who you are first. And you waiting for them to complete you. So what you going to do if God take them? You going to get married again? Now you're on marriage number 6. I know people have been married a bunch of times. You still in, and my barber told me one time, he said, I got to stop. He said, man, he said, when I came to your wedding, he said, it really blessed me. He said, because I can just tell that you and lady really love each other. He said, because he said, I'll be honest. I said, before I came to y'all wedding and I saw how much y'all love each other, he said, I was just feeling in my mind, I feel like you just don't love more than one person like that. So he was saying, like, I really loved my first wife. So he's like, I don't know if I could just love another person like that. And I'm like, man, that's kind of deep. Because we really throw love around a lot. And I used to say back in the day, you know, if you mean it, say it. If you say it, make sure you mean it. All right, hey, let's give. We normally done at 8:30, sorry. But let's give. Wow, this was good. This was good. Let's give, and I just want to give a disclaimer to the folks online. We really could talk for another 30 minutes. We just gonna end because we got to go to work in the morning. But But God is doing so many great things in the life of our church, man. God is just moving amongst the people, and it's just so amazing. I'm just amazed at all the many things that God is doing and the way that he's blessing so many of the people of God at Word of Life and those that are connected to us. And I just want to give a disclaimer. There are some folks that are connected to people at Word of Life, and you're going to get blessed because of how blessed we are being over here. And I'm just so grateful for what God is doing, and we'll share some of those things on Sunday. I don't want to unveil it because I need a B flat on the Hammond and the cymbal or something. When I start talking about the things that I'm joking. I don't need it. I'm just saying. But God is just doing so many great things, even just more testimonies this week, and it's just flooding in. And God keeps blessing, God keeps multiplying, he keeps growing. And I'm just so very grateful for everything that the Lord is doing. Listen, please share about our church. Those of you that are members, share. Invite somebody. Bring somebody here. Invite your neighbors, all in. Tell them to come to Word of Life Church where we get word for life. We're standing all over the room online. Don't log out yet. Please let me pray for you before you go. Let me pray for you before you go. Don't leave me. Back in the day, the old preacher would say, "Don't leave before the benediction. You might get in a car accident." You know, they was lethal, man. You gonna get in a car accident if you leave early. Golly, Bishop, why I got to die? All right, let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for what our eyes have seen, what our ears have heard. God, we thank you for your word tonight. We thank you, God, that you are going to teach us and train us on how to cope and deal with the various issues of our life. Lord, I pray that you would give us healthy coping mechanisms, God, and coping strategies to help pull us through the many things that we're going through in our lives. Oh, God, we love you with everything that we are, and we are literally here and hungry and chasing after you. And so, God of heaven, we pray even right now, God, that you would reveal yourself the more unto us. For your word declared to us, God, that you reveal yourself to your friends. And so now, here we are, God, tonight praying, ask us that you would make us a friend of God, that you might reveal the secrets and the promises to us that you're going to do in our lives. And oh God, we'll be forever grateful to give your name all the praise, the honor, and the glory. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Live on the word, walk on the word. Now that's word for life. I'll see you Sunday at 11 a.m.